All right, guys, so here we are again. It's 2019. We just had two terrible shootings, I think 2 days ago, within 24 hours this time. One in Dayton, one in El Paso. I've just looked it up. I've done a similar video in 2014, saying the same thing, telling people what would need to be done in order to avoid this in the future. Nobody cares. I've done another video in 2018. Doing the same thing last year. That time that was about the Florida shootings. You remember the Florida shootings? No? Oh yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why nobody remembers. Because we already had, 240, 248, whatever the number is, of shootings in the United States only this year? This year alone? So now we're blaming video games, aren't we? Video games are to be blamed. So let's look at that. Let's look at that narrative. Who's pushing that narrative that video games are to be blamed? Conservatives? Trump, Fox News, those are the kind of entities that are pushing that narrative. Okay? Why are they doing this? Are they doing that for fun? Do they not understand that if a president stands in front of a crowd of borderline retarded people who follow him, screaming that all people who try to enter this country are potential rapists and criminals, inventing stories of caravans of immigrants invading the US, holding the US under siege, that might trigger some borderline mentally disturbed individuals? Yeah? That's not a feasible narrative, is it? No, that makes no sense. Video games, that makes sense. Why is it? Why are these people pushing that agenda? I tell you why. It's actually really, really simple. People who watch Fox News are, people who like Trump supporters. They're nationalists. They're people who call themselves patriots. They're people who generally don't look for an objective report on things. They are looking for a news outlet that confirms their narratives. That's what it is, right? They just want someone to say what they think. So they're like, oh, I was right all along. Those immigrants, right? They are terrible. They are the problem right here. So if Fox News would come out now and say, oh, actually, I would say that our president and his rhetoric has like a big role in this whole action and that maybe he's got some blood on his hands, then you're basically admitting that you've made mistakes. That would call into question everything that you've propagated to your supporters for years. So that's something that Fox News and Trump don't do, right? Admitting that they made mistakes, that's just not kind of in their vocabulary, in their realm. That doesn't exist. Making mistakes, we don't make mistakes here. So we come up with something else. We come up with a scapegoat. In this case, it's video games. They've done this before. Obviously, it's not the first time. They're professional liars. They are probably the best in twisting and inventing their own narratives to confirm their own truth. So this is like a standard procedure for these people. But there's a difference this time. This time, you're lying in the face of dead, innocent people. There are families out there who've lost fathers, brothers, sisters for no reason. And you stand up in front of a crowd and blame video games when it is blatantly obvious that you had a big part in what happened, that your rhetoric rallied up those people, and you have blood on your hands, whether it's Fox News, whether it's Trump. Anyone who's defending this story about video games has blood on their hands, and they should be ashamed of themselves. They are cowards. That's the definition of a coward. When in the face of death that you've caused, the biggest mistake that a human being can make, you don't have the decency to stand up and say, all right, this went too far, we screwed up, we made a mistake, we need to resync some of the things we say and how we say them. When you don't have the decency to do that, my God, may God help us all, honestly. So what can we do? What can we do in the face of this terrible thing that keeps happening? Okay, so in regards to Trump and Fox News and their rhetoric, I've given up. Okay, they've shown us with how they responded to what just happened that they don't care, that they have not a tiny piece of decency left in them. To blame it on a scapegoat, and I mean, it's not even a smart scapegoat. If they would come up with it's like some kind of complex narrative that involves mental illness and other things, whatever it is, no, but they go for video games. I mean, Jesus, man. That's not even, it leaves me speechless. You can see I'm trying to find the words, it leaves me speechless. So I've given up on their rhetoric. They're not going to change. There's going to be another shooting next week, and they're still going to say, video games and mental illness. Okay, I've got to go. What the actual hell? What a coward, man. You can only imagine what that means for those families who've just lost a family member. To see a coward like this step up and lie into their faces. So there's no hope on that end. There is hope on other ends, though, and I mean, everyone keeps talking about mental illness. Yes, mental illness plays a big role in this. Undoubtedly, there's a massive mental illness problem in the United States, and I can already see the comments, but there's mental illness in other... Yeah, that's true. There are other countries as well that have mental, but we're not talking about other countries. Stop your whataboutism bullshit. We're talking about the United States right now, okay? So yes, mental illness... We need, for example, I think platforms where we can report deranged individuals. I have had conversations on Twitter, conversations on other social platforms, where I got replies from people that I would have instantly reported. Okay, people saying things, explaining how, the lack of immigration control directly leads them to violence. All my alarm bells go off. I'm like, okay, I need to report this person somewhere, because otherwise... I'll read that next week he went into some kind of Foot Locker and killed everyone. Some kind of Mexican restaurant or whatever it is. So we need places where we can report those deranged individuals who believe they've seen some kind of truth through their racist lies, and now, they're kind of enlightened and need to clean up this country and cleanse it from the siege. Well done, Mr. President. You've rallied up people to like a fake narrative, a fake fear-mongering normalization of racist views. You're breeding your own terrorists. And there's no but and if and why and screw that. You're breeding terrorists. That's what's going on. You're breeding dangerous people. Okay? And in a country where there's such a high rate of mental illness, maybe it's not the best idea to have the whole country armed to the teeth. How about that? When everyone has mental issues, is struggling with social anxiety, with social pressures, financial pressures, just trying to make it in this difficult climate, where we're living in tricky times. People are struggling. Maybe they should not all have guns in their home. Maybe, just maybe, it's just a thought. Jesus Christ, man. America, the United States, needs radical gun control. And I understand that all politicians and people, they're sensitive, right? Because they're powerful organizations, the NRA, and people love their guns, right? They're in love with those killing machines. So they're like, no, we just have to ban assault rifles. And I get it. You want to get a foot in the door. You want to do the first step. But no. We don't need to just ban assault rifles. We need to ban all firearms, down to air rifles. Okay? Not just bump stocks or whatever they're talking about. No compromise. Firearms have to be removed from this country, from the public population. Okay? Because you can still kill masses of people with a handgun and 20 clips in your pocket. You're still a killing machine. It's not just assault rifles. That's a crappy excuse. It's the whole relationship that Americans have with guns. Look at videos of people on firing ranges, smiling and having a great time, giving their daughters some rifle for their 12th birthday. The relationship between Americans and their guns is fundamentally broken. It's not an object of joy. It's not an object of fun. And people have to understand that again. People have lost track of what a gun is. It's an item that is designed to kill other people. It's not something you take out on the weekend and have a great time with. Okay, if that's your relationship with guns, then there is something fundamentally wrong in your relationship with those objects. And I can already see the comments because, like I said, I've done these videos before. There's going to be the comments, but dude, if we ban guns, only criminals will have guns. And it will be even more dangerous. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. For 20 years, maybe 30 years, you will be living in a more dangerous environment than before. There might even be civil war. Surely there will be civil unrest because people are like, you're not taking my guns. So there will be increased criminality. That's the price you pay for not addressing this matter earlier. That's the price you pay. 20, maybe 30, maybe 40, who knows, years of increased danger in your country because only a selective group of people have more guns than you. Yes, that's right. That is the price you pay. And why do you pay that price? So in 20, 30 years, you are in a place where there are not as many guns in your country anymore and where it's not an easy peasy thing to get an assault rifle or even a handgun, like the rest of the world is treating it. Okay? But dude, it's the Second Amendment. It was designed for people to fight back against your tyrannical government. It's our fundamental right. Dude, when I hear those arguments, I just can't even... It makes me wonder if the person who makes that point, literally has no brain, or if the IQ is just too low to understand really simple relations. To make a point like this is just bizarre. Because do you think that if the government has the interest to take you out, that your little assault rifle will make any difference, dude? In what world are you living? Think through your arguments, what you're saying. If the government has an interest in removing you from the surface of this earth, then someone 140 kilometers away pushes a button and you're gone, man. Your assault rifle is not gonna do jack shit. It offers you no protection in that regard against a tyrannical government. It just, oh my God, I can't facepalm enough. And here we go. Let's go through some of those because, like I said, I've done these videos before. You always get the same arguments, right? They're running out of arguments. Let's go through them. Another one you get a lot is like, oh, but the Second Amendment can't be changed. It's a basic, unchangeable law. You know what? I don't give a flying fuck about that. I don't care. Make it work in the face of innocent people, women, men, children dying. Make it goddamn work. The United States apparently is the country of unlimited possibility. How about the possibility of changing an amendment? Maybe add one to it that nullifies it, whatever it is. We need solutions. All these arguments people make that I'm talking about right now, we've tried them in the past. To say, oh, we can't change the Second Amendment. We've tried that. It didn't work. Okay, that's what we've done in the other 6,000 shootings that happened in the recent few years. Okay? So it didn't work. So let's look at what we can do. Let's look at something that we have not tried before. Another argument you get a lot under these videos comes like, people, you don't understand American culture and how deeply guns are embedded in that culture. Well, that's excuses. You're coming up with excuses. I don't care. I don't care. Okay? Other things are deeply embedded in other countries. Okay? If those things would start suddenly murdering children and women and men, then we would come up with solutions to remove them from being deeply embedded in our culture. From doing the first step towards removing them from that culture, from that cultural consciousness. So in 30 years' time, we're in a place where they are not deeply embedded in that culture anymore. Nothing else matters. No law for guns. No, we've always done it like this. No, we have to change laws that can't be changed. No, but it's so much fun to go on shooting ranges. No more excuses. We've tried excuses. It didn't work. It didn't work and it keeps not working. Now we're talking about video games, the ultimate excuse. How long until we get the next shooting? Next week? Few days, 5 days, 10 days, whatever it is. It doesn't work. And it's not some leftist agenda. I can already see that bullshit. People are like, oh, it's a leftist agenda. It's not even political, dude. It's not even political. It's the only thing that can be done. You can forbid video games. You can pretend mental illness is the main issue. You can talk about other countries having similar issues and throw out your whataboutisms. You can do all of that shit. It's not gonna change a thing. Okay? It's not going to change anything. The only thing that makes a difference is limited access to guns. And I'm not saying nobody can have guns. Yeah, let's come up with a system that other countries have. Make it, that you need a serious license. It's not easy to obtain. It's expensive. It requires you to lock your gun separately from your ammo. It requires you to lock your rifles and guns in like steel cabinets with like 2 or 3 locks in front. Make it safe. Use common sense. Access to guns, easy access to guns as it currently stands, is the trigger of what's happening. Just because of that simple reason, people die nearly every day. No, not nearly, every day. People are dying every day. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. You can spend another 5 years arguing back and forth whether it's mental illness or video games or whatever the reason is, come up with 20 other excuses. It's not going to change anything unless you wake up and you're willing to reflect upon your own behavior and be like, yes, I love my guns. Yes, I feel I'm responsible with my guns, but for the greater good, we all need to make a compromise. You know, that's another thing. You talk to people, they're like, no, you're not going to take my guns because I'm very responsible with my guns. Have you ever met someone who's like, well, I'm not responsible with my guns, who says that? Or I can't handle guns, but owns... You don't meet those people. Everyone who owns guns thinks they can handle them. That's part of the problem. People are apparently not clever enough to reflect upon their own behavior, to reflect upon their own mistakes. So, the only way to address this matter is to limit the access to guns, lock them away, disarm the country, go through 20, 30, 40 years of trouble in order to achieve something for your children, for your grandchildren, so they can live in a world where they can go to Walmart, to school, where they can go to a bar on the weekend without being worried that they might get a bullet in their head. All right? That's it. Thank you.